Okay, good morning. It is the 19th of March, 2023, 24th. Gained a year suddenly. And it's been a couple of days now, I think, since I've looked at it. It's been busy. So let's just have a reread. I think last time I went through a synonyms activity. See if I can do something else for revision, otherwise just reading. A late night last night. Okay. They make the border from their stones and our air. Whether to keep one side out or the other side in, the rattle of slow trucks and the moan of stamping boots echo across expecting dunes. They incite with an idea: you do not belong. Then every syllable of that is snipped from scripture and stationed in a row, unintelligible. Next comes the lessening. Our breath is sucked from lungs and solidifies. Our breath is sucked from lungs and solidifies. Next comes the listening. Our breath is sucked from lungs and solidifies. Our skin is caught in serrated edges. Breath is sucked from lungs and solidifies. Our skin is caught on serrated edges and made mesh. Our own eyes were plucked and propped up as sentries. Our own mouths are clamped shut. Our own feet even out the broken glass that we then lick clean. Finally, the rhetoric is refined into plaster spread by tiny hands across the shadowed side until nothing of the land is left scalable. Opening day, a ribbon of sand is tied coast to coast and snips in two by just looking at it. As the lives go by, all seems to go to plan. No one can slip through, can they? How can you arrive on the same shore you are on? But we do. We see a light leaking between their stones and our air. We run towards it, our bodies heavy with hope. I'm not keen on the word leaking. What is that curl? Let's get rid of that. Oh, I can't get rid of it. Light. Slipping between their stones and our air. We run towards it, our bodies heavy with hope. Okay. Okay. Why don't we do, since I'm relatively happy with the uh poem at the moment, why don't we try a enjambment activity? So editing, place. Let's replace all the paragraphs. Oh, what's this? Paragraph 9. To replace the paragraphs with just no. Let's do an enjambment line break activity for it. So this is something that can be sort of helpful in redrafting process. It's only useful once you've got the poem, roughly where you want it. Otherwise, it's if you're still making major edits, then it's no point, I think. But anyway, let's give this a go. How would I enjambe it just from a paragraph? Uh, Whether to keep one side out or the other in. It's already a very boring uh, first enjambment, isn't it? It's not, no space. Thank you very much. The rattle of although now that I see it, I don't know. Maybe it could work as a prose poem. Whether to keep one side out or the other in, the rattle of sold trucks and the moan of stamping boots echo across expecting dunes. They incite with an idea. You do not belong. Then every syllable of that is snipped from scripture and stationed in a row, unintelligible. Next comes the lessening. Our breath is sucked from lungs and solidifies. Our skin is caught on serrated edges and made mesh. Our own eyes are plucked and propped up as sentries. Our own mouths are clamped shut. Our own feet even out the broken glass that we then lick clean. Finally, the rhetoric is refined into plaster spread by tiny hands across the shadowed side until nothing of the land is left scalable. Opening day, a ribbon of sand is tied coast to coast and snaps in two by just looking at it. As the lives go by, all seem to go to plan. No one can slip through, can they? How can you arrive on the same shore you are on? But we do. We see light, light, slipping between their stones and our air, and we run towards it, bodies heavy with hope. It's not what I expected to do. Now I just want to think if there's the whole just one paragraph, two paragraphs, and then two paragraphs with some kind of so we've got good. So we've got a single paragraph. We've got two paragraphs with a conventional paragraph stanza break, and then we've got another one that's an unconventional break, so symbolic usage. Oh, well, I mean, it's interesting to think about. I'm not sold on it, if I'm honest. Is that me being precious? And does it work better as a person? Kill your darlings. Hmm. Okay. Let's do what I set out to do, which was to play around with the enjambment. So let's try that now. Okay. What the title? Whether whether to keep one side out or the other in. The rattle of slow trucks and the moaning of stamping boots echo across expecting dunes. They incite with an idea you do not belong. Then every syllable of that is snipped from scripture and stationed in a row, unintelligible. Next comes the lessening. Our breath is sucked from lungs and solidifies. Our skin is caught on serrated edges and made mesh. Our eyes are plucked and propped up as sentries. Our own mouths are clamped shut. Our own feet even out the broken glass that we then lick clean. Finally, the rhetoric is refined into plaster spread by tiny hands across the shadowed side until nothing of the land is left scalable. Opening day, a ribbon of sand is tied coast to coast and snaps in two by just looking at it. As the lives go by, all seems to go to plan. No one can slip through, can they? How can you arrive on the same shore you are on? But we do. We see a light slipping between the stones and our air, and we run for it. When we run towards it, our bodies heavy with hope. Well, well, well. So, let's compare, shall we? So, what was the last enjambment? Enjambed? Uh, was lucky. Right. Whether to keep one side out or the other in, the rattle of slow trucks and the moan of stamping. That reminds me of the beginning of the wasteland with it's the present participles, isn't it? In wasteland, April is the cruelest month. So it's texture. Oh. April is the cruelest month, breeding lilacs out of the dead land, mixing memory and desire, stirring dull roots with spring rain. I do like that. Oh, that's interesting. I had stamping there, didn't I? And syllable. Though I think that's it, from what I can see. Oh, on. No, it's a different. No, no. Ah, I got rid of the question mark. It's exciting stuff, folks. So it's all. I think. No, we and. Oh, that's interesting. And we. That's a very sort of. Uh, uh, order. Like rhetoric. Just having that. that personal collective pronoun, inclusive pronoun that we run towards it. That's interesting. It's slightly longer by 3 odd lines, although there's more stanza breaks there, so even more then. Um, of course, I don't. It depends on your subconscious. I don't know how. When I went through that again to work out the enjambment, was I just reacting to the poem naturally, or was I purposely going away just to be different from the original version? But it has ended up relatively different. And do I prefer it? Don't know. Snippy. Like rhetoric is refined into plaster spread by tiny hands across the shadowed side. That's all good. Come on, what am I going to do? What do I prefer? Opening a ribbon of sand. I like that bit there. How have I done it there? It snaps into and snaps into by just looking at it. Yeah, I like that. How can you arrive on the same shore you are on? Okay. An imperative instead. Okay, so I've kept that snap there. I've got these two versions then, haven't I? Essentially. And then I've got 1, 2, and 3 prose poem versions. I like the symbolism of like the prose poem, like the poem's about not belonging somewhere. Like prose poem has always had this sort of difficult place. It's liminal, transgressive. It's a bit extreme, but so maybe that form is more symbolic of subject matter. Um, Maybe cut it at snap. Well, I just think that seems a bit obvious. And into that's too obvious. This and no one can slip through. Again, that's just obvious as well, isn't it? No, I'm not having those. Would either be that or that, I suppose. In terms of prose poem, and then and I've got two different enjambed versions. Well, it's back. No, swap sides. I mean, with the snaps and the question mark on John 1 here and here, I've melded the two versions together, at least. No, that's not right. Messed that up, haven't I? That should be here. Line up those spaces. Okay, I'm gonna have to go anyway. What's that? It's 20 minutes. I'll do. That'll do, pig. Okay, so I've got lots to think about. Pros, one of these two versions. They're too obviously, they're too heavy-handed, and then we've got the two different Argent versions. Okay, it'll be interesting to come back to it again and looking at all those versions again. Maybe I should. Uh, so it. Oh, hold on. Yeah, so it's these ones here. This page one and page three. Each four. Oh yeah, page four is the original, and the different versions. Okay, so that makes sense. Okay, let's leave it like that. See you later.